Clive, I've got to ask you about that kind of interchange between Eze and Merino that I thought was really, really effective yesterday. Merino obviously is a midfield player by nature, and so he's quite comfortable, isn't he, dropping in? But did Eze show something different in terms of being capable and willing, I suppose, to step forward and be that false nine at times?
Yeah, he did, and I think it's quite hard to sort of read us at the moment, because I think we work so well as a collective. We just move into each other's spaces, and we know the coverage of the pitch. So people who analyse football like say, oh, we're doing this now, we're doing that now. I look at the collective group, I look at the pairs, I think, well, they working with each other. If somebody drops away, the other one drops in, and that's it. I think it's a lot more instinct based off a framework and principle which the manager's put in place. But the players are good enough. And what really stood out to me from watching in the ground yesterday was the technical level of these players. I thought it was really high. Looking after the ball, not forcing issues to create mistakes where Spurs could leverage from and get territory up the pitch and do what they want to do. I thought we were really secure on the ball. And any times that we weren't secure was the period after they scored and momentum slipped away. And so this team is very, very wise and smart, and the technical level is underestimated because we scored a few set pieces. I think that will come into the fore next few weeks.
Yeah, it feels like the set-piece FC narrative, it died a death yesterday, didn't it, with 4 goals from open play. Simon, let me come to you on the Tottenham goal. I think we have to touch on it. As much as we want to be celebrating today, we do have to touch on it. Is that a lesson for Martin Zubimendi? Just the lesson that you can't dwell on the ball, you can't get caught in possession in that sort of area?
It was probably his one error of the game, wasn't it? I actually thought he was having a really good game before that, and I was doing the player ratings and I had him marked pretty highly, and particularly because the way Tottenham set up, Timber was really pressing high up the pitch and Zubimendi was just dropping into right back, felt like he was ahead of everything, and just there, just caught on the ball. And I mean, for Arsenal, it's weirdly they've conceded that goal a few times. We were talking about it before we came on, you know, the Mateta goal last season, pre-season, Sarr scored the same goal. And yeah, I just think for Zubimendi, that's probably, knowing him as a player and how intelligent he is, he probably won't make that mistake again. But it was the one rare moment where Arsenal had an error and they were pretty emphatically punished. And it's probably a goal, there's almost a bit of a freak occurrence, but Zubimendi, I think, quite harshly punished for what was his one error, really.
Yeah, it just takes one touch too many for me. I mean, James, there's been a few goals that Arsenal have conceded this season that have come from Zubimendi errors, but I think it's important that we defend him, because ultimately, when you're playing at the base of the midfield and you're playing high-risk passes sometimes, that is going to happen, isn't it? You're going to give fouls away or you're going to give the ball away.
Yeah, I agree. I thought he was brilliant yesterday, and I think he's been getting better and better as the season goes on. I think when you're a player that you channel so much of your football through, but also, I think he plays much more of a, I want to find the word, like, he's a lot more leggy in midfield than I realised in terms of the up and down. You're right, covering for Timber, but on a couple of those goals, he's the one breaking into the box. I'm thinking, this is our number 6. And you kind of, with that the third goal, so Eze's second, both Rice and Zubimendi are charging into the box. I'm thinking, okay, who's back? Who's sitting back? But, you know, Arsenal are so happy to step up together as a unit. I think when Zubimendi's taking on all these different roles, taking on so much responsibility, not just at the base, kind of recycling possession, keeping it moving, you're going to have the odd error. And I honestly think, yes, you know, it was a good tackle by Palhinha. It's a great finish from Richarlison. I genuinely think you're punished 1 in 1,000 times. Or if you're Arsenal, apparently 3 times in a calendar year. But, you know, it just feels like very harsh punishment for, OK, he got caught in possession. It happens.
Yeah, I'm willing to take a bet that if Richarlison attempts that 50 times, he barely hits the target once. Like, honestly, I think it was that much of a freak moment. That's why I want to defend Zubimendi and not make too much out of it. Clive, you're a man that's good at looking at things with logic. That goal that Eberechi Eze scored, the second Arsenal goal, Eberechi Eze's first, did Tottenham have a case that was offside? Because I got to be honest, if that was given against us, I'd be livid today.
You're talking to the wrong person. I've got no sympathies there on that one. I thought, you could say, but I don't think it directly affected the goalkeeper, if I'm being honest with you. But my eyes are wanting to see that, you know. So I could be open to criticism. If it was a 1-0 game, maybe, and that goal was the goal, then maybe we'd be talking about it for the whole day, right? And we'd be loving Michael Oliver for letting it happen. So yeah, I think it's just one of those moments. I just like the fact that he's getting shots off in those areas that are just really on target and hard, and making goalkeeper work, and that's really important. Harry, mate, I've got no sympathies for them at the moment. I've got to be honest with you.
Fair enough. James, what about you, mate? And what did you make of that goal? Because I know a lot of Spurs fans growing up in North London. There's plenty of them in my life, unfortunately. And they're all very unhappy about that award of the goal.
Yeah, it's a talking point in the Premier League right now. I think Van Dijk should have stood at the Etihad and it didn't. I think Mario scored one at Anfield the other day that Liverpool fans were looking at. And this one's being looked at too. It's going to be so hard to determine how much as a player, impact, because even if they're not in the line of sight, maybe the goalkeeper's thinking, what if he gets a touch on it? What if it... So there's a few ways you can look at it. I'd rather those goals stand because I think you should do quite a lot wrong for a goal not to stand. We want goals in the game. But there's a case. I think this is one of those. There's one every year that the PGMOL seem to have to get a hold of quite quickly. Just decide what is the rule, how they're going to officiate it and be consistent through the season because they haven't been at the moment.
Simon?
Yeah, I think it's the only reason why I could see why it was given was because the distance between sort of Vicario and Trossard. Look at the one the Etihad with Robertson where he's right there. There's a bit of distance, and also Vicario getting a hand to it. I just wonder whether the sort of VAR are looking at it and going, look, no, he's still got there. He had a chance to save it. But as James says, I think the issue is it's always with decisions, it's consistency, isn't it? You watch one game and it gets disallowed, the next one it doesn't. Maybe there's a thing we just have a blanket rule and say, look, if you're offside in any way, we're just going to say you're interfering because you're offside. So it's a difficult one, but I think Thomas Frank didn't make a point of it after the game because rightly so. Yeah. They were outplayed, and let's be honest, that wasn't the reason they lost.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I just think it's important that you highlight these inconsistencies because if we're going to get on our soapbox every time a decision goes against us and we complain about a lack of consistency, I think you have to raise that point at least.
Yeah, I agree.
If the goal's given, fine, but for me, the fact that there was two, maybe even three players in an offside position, that should have led to a slightly at least longer check than the one that we got yesterday. But hey, I'm not complaining. Tribalism is a thing, isn't it? I want to talk to you guys about Jurrien Timber, and I'll come to you first on this, Simon, because his form is just incredible at the moment. I mean, I spoke to him after the game and my first question was, where do you find the energy? Because he's up and down, he's everywhere, he's inside, he's on the outside, he's just been in incredible form. And I love Ben White, but he's left him behind, hasn't he?
Yeah, I feel sorry for Ben White because Timber's playing so well, and it's the easiest reason why White's not in the team. But Timber, for me, is the best right-back in the Premier League at the moment. I don't think there's any debate over that. Chelsea fans might argue Reece James. I think when Trent Alexander was here, he was an argument as well. But what he does going forward and defensively, I just don't think there's anyone better than Timber. The way he gets forward and presses, the way he carries the ball, drives forward. I think that link with Saka, which was probably White's biggest strength for why he should play, was how he combined with Saka. I think Timber's got that now. And he's just at a level where he's just absolutely in complete flow and his game is so good, and he's probably been close to Arsenal's best player this season. I know Gabriel's out injured. I think Timber can take that mantle forward, but yes, his performances are just incredible. I mean, he's so good. I kind of say it every week when I watch him, just like, I don't know if he's getting the praise outside of that Arsenal bubble that he deserves, because for me, yeah, he is the best right back in the league.
Yeah, he is. I mean, Clive, tactically, what is it that Jurrien Timber brings that's different to Ben White, do you think? Because we keep talking about the link up with Saka, which is obviously important for anybody that plays down that right-hand side for Arsenal. But Timber's, for me, his game has evolved and developed a lot in the last few months.
Yeah, so Ben White also was a centre-half and he went out to right-back, and he's a very good athlete, a very good straight-line runner. So a lot of his... And we grew up with, like, attacking fullbacks being overlapping fullbacks, like Kieran Tierney-style fullback. Whereas I think that's one dimension of attacking play, whereas Timber's got a lot more. He plays on the inside, he's got a lot more carrying ability and dribbling. I look at him and Saka, and I think they attack and defend equally well as each other. And they look totally in sync. I feel that White sometimes facilitated Saka a little bit more, but now they're working together, Timber and Saka, as a two, and they really are destroying teams. I felt that Spurs really tried to lopside their pitch to really stop our right side. That was a little bit maybe historic, how you would stop Arsenal, by loading up that area. But Timber and Saka got out of there a lot, with 4 or 5 players, Spurs players over there on those two, and they're getting the ball into middle areas. And obviously we had a lot of success in the middle by the D and out onto the left as well, and that's where our chances really were executed. I thought tactically they got that wrong because they couldn't stop them. They couldn't stop the ball coming out of that space, And so yeah, they're excellent, and they're so all caught. Do you know what I mean by that? Two-footed, both sides of the game. They're excellent, really good.
They are indeed. James, we've got to talk about Leandro Trossard's performance as well, because not only did he get the first goal, but he's just been in outstanding form now for such a long time. He's really stepped up, hasn't he, in the absence of Martinelli and Madueke, who would have been competition. He's taken on that mantle and he's been brilliant.
Yeah, let's not forget, I thought he was going to go off at one point. Quite early in the game, I thought that injury looked like it might take him off the pitch. Came on and played brilliantly. He was described as like the Premier League's best 12th man for a little while. Basically great off the bench, but if you actually rely on him week in, week out for 70 plus minutes, you don't get the same level of performance. Which is strange, because when you look at his technical quality, his strength, his experience, he's so clutch. He always has big goals and big moments in big games. You think, why do you not get more in terms of the full 90 maybe? This season he's been tremendous. I've loved watching him play, because when he is in his full flow, he's, I think, one of the most enjoyable players on the pitch to watch. He's actually kind of gone down as maybe more of a moments player. But like Eze, the two of them can be brilliant to watch when they do get a little bit more time on the ball, a few extra touches. And it was all happening for him. I'm just not surprised he got the opening goal, because he's one of the coolest heads in the Emirates Stadium, no matter how elevated it gets. And whether it be away at Old Trafford, an equaliser at the Bridge, an equaliser against Bayern Munich, here he is again scoring in a massive, massive game. So it just wasn't that surprising that Trossard pulled out a big moment. But he's in the form of his life at Arsenal. This is the best he's ever played, not just in terms of output, but the full package is there.
Yeah, I completely agree. I feel like defensively he's come on as well.
Yeah.
And he loves playing against Spurs, by the way. Liverpool are the only side that he scored more Premier League goals against. So, yeah, it's an occasion, certainly, for him.
Gets it.
I do want to ask you guys about this mentality chat, because going into the North London derby, there was a lot of talk about whether Arsenal would have the mettle, Simon, after watching Man City drop points and Liverpool obviously losing the way that they did. Would Arsenal be able to go out and capitalise? Because in the past, they haven't always capitalised, and that's led to questions, not so much about their ability, but whether they've got that steel mentally to get over the line. Have they answered many of those questions at the start of this season already for you?
I think so. I think the mentality definitely feels like there's been a shift in this squad. I kind of feel like they've had so many scars and emotional battles that they now feel ready for this. And it probably almost got lost yesterday, the opportunity they had in the title race with Liverpool and City losing, because it was the North London derby and everyone is so focused on winning that game. It was only when you looked at the table afterwards, actually 6 points clear now. And I think that Arteta spoke about it a bit afterwards, but capitalising on those moments when you can really, take advantage and put your foot down. Chelsea next weekend, absolutely massive with them in second place. But I do feel like there has been a shift in this squad. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the depth they've got. Everyone feels like someone can step up, but it doesn't feel like now there is any sort of mental fragility. I feel like they've gone up a level, and it's just a confidence in that squad that they can get the results and they can take advantage when teams slip up.
Clive, do you think it's down to the depth as well as other things? Because I agree with Simon, the depth gives you that confidence that when one man goes down or two men go down, you've got ample cover to deal with that problem. Is the depth the key to what appears to be a shift in Arsenal's mentality?
Yeah, I think that's part of it. I think the thing that I see when I go is it's basically the hunger to get the ball back, to really get around it. I sense a hunger in the team that has always been there, but not like this. It's almost obsessive to the point they lose the ball, they all recover for each other. Someone makes a mistake, they go back in. And when they have the ball, they want to dominate that offensively as well. I remember there's a bit I sort of said this yesterday. Madueke came on late in the game and he didn't quite get out to his fullback to sort of do a defensive role. And Arteta was up and this is 4-1 and he was waving his arms at him and he was saying, get back in, get back in. He got back in and then he clapped him and that's it. Those are the rules, mate. Those are the rules. This is what we do. We're 4-1 up. We leave nothing to chance. And that's the thing I can see. And if that ends up in us saying we're mentally stronger, then fine. But I can see a real aggression, particularly off the ball, to maintain what we have and make fewer mistakes when we're in possession. And that's the big difference for me this season. It really screams at me and I'm watching every single week.